On the morning of August 6, 1945, the world changed forever. A U.S. bomber named the Enola Gay flew over the Japanese city of Hiroshima. At 8:15 a.m., it released a weapon unlike anything the world had ever seen, the first atomic bomb used in war. The bomb was called Little Boy. In a single instant, a blinding flash of light tore through the sky. Buildings crumbled, firestorms erupted, and tens of thousands of lives were erased in seconds. The city was engulfed in silence, then in screams. By the end of that day, an estimated 70,000 people were dead. In the weeks and months that followed, radiation sickness claimed tens of thousands more. Survivors, known as hibakusha, carried scars on their bodies and memories that would never fade. Yet despite the horror, life went on. By 1947, more than 500,000 people had returned to Hiroshima. They cleared the rubble, rebuilt their homes, and tried to piece together their lives. Throughout the following decades, Hiroshima continued to grow. The city became a hub of industry and culture, a testament to the resilience of the human spirit. And yet, it also became a symbol of the horrors of war and the destructive power of humanity's creations. Every year on August 6th, the world remembers the victims of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. We mourn the innocent lives lost, the survivors who endured unimaginable suffering, and all those who have worked tirelessly to prevent such a tragedy from ever repeating itself. But what many people do know is why Hiroshima was chosen as the target for the first atomic bomb. You see, by 1945, World War II had been raging for a decade, and the United States was eager to end the conflict swiftly and decisively. Japan had proven to be a tenacious opponent, and American leaders believed that a conventional invasion of the Japanese mainland would result in catastrophic casualties. As the war dragged on, U.S. military developed a new and terrifying weapon that could turn the tide of battle in an instant. When Japan refused to surrender, the decision was made to use these weapons on Japanese cities. But why Hiroshima? The choice was based on several factors. First and foremost, Hiroshima was a military hub, home to several Army and Navy installations, including a major communications center. By targeting Hiroshima, the United States hoped to inflict maximum damage on Japan's military infrastructure. Additionally, Hiroshima was a commercial and industrial center, which meant that it had a large population of skilled workers and a robust manufacturing base. This made it an ideal target for the first atomic bomb, because the devastation caused by the attack would not only cripple Japan's military, but also disrupt its economy and capacity to wage war. Finally, Hiroshima was chosen because it was relatively unknown to the outside world. This was important to the U.S. military, because they wanted to demonstrate the power of the atomic bomb without any prior warning. They hoped that the sheer destructive force of the weapon would shock and awe not just Japan, but the entire world. And so on the morning of August 6, 1945, the Enola Gay flew over Hiroshima and dropped the first atomic bomb ever used in warfare. But the legacy of this event goes far beyond the destruction of a single city. Hiroshima became a symbol of the horrors of nuclear war and a warning to future generations about the dangers of unchecked scientific advancement. Today, the site of the bombing is known as the Hiroshima Peace Memorial. And every year on August 6th, people from around the world gather there to commemorate the victims and survivors of the bombing, and to pray for a future free from nuclear weapons. In the aftermath of the bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, the world stood in stunned silence as the full implications of what had just happened began to sink in. The use of atomic weapons on civilian targets had never before been imagined, let alone executed. And the level of destruction and death they caused was beyond anything previously witnessed. As news of the bombings spread, a wave of horror and disbelief swept across the globe. People gathered around their radios, desperate for more information, trying to comprehend how such a thing could have occurred. The images that emerged in the days following the bombings were truly haunting. Cities reduced to ashes, countless corpses strewn across the ground, and survivors who had been horribly disfigured by radiation poisoning. The world watched in horror as the full extent of the devastation became clear. But amidst the horror, there was also a sense of wonder and fear. The atomic bombs had demonstrated a level of destructive power that had never before been seen. And people around the world wondered what might happen if these weapons were used again. There was a growing concern that the use of atomic weapons was just the beginning, and that a nuclear arms race was on the horizon. This fear was only heightened when the United States dropped a second atomic bomb on Nagasaki just 3 days after the attack on Hiroshima. The world watched with bated breath as the United States prepared for a possible third strike. However, before another bomb could be dropped, Japan announced its surrender, bringing an end to World War II. The bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki had achieved their objective of forcing Japan's surrender, but at an unimaginable cost. The world had been irrevocably changed, and the use of atomic weapons had forever altered the balance of power. And that's all for today. Thank you for watching.